Just first of all, so excited, guys. I don't ever want to lose this feeling. I never want to lose this feeling. My first chance to be a head coach. It all starts right here. I don't mind saying it. They put the microphone in front of me. I'm going to talk about it. If we're going to own the NFC South, this is how we're going to do it.
Welcome on in, Panthers fans, Panthers faithful. I have a beautiful video for you guys today. There's some things that I want to talk about, some things how I believe your season will be going next year. And then we got to talk about Dave Canales, the great things that he has done for quarterbacks and what I think he'll do for your quarterback. And then we got to talk about what are your expectations? What do you believe is going to happen for your 2024 Carolina Panthers? Because I'm telling you right here, I'm telling you right now, the narrative. The narrative is Bryce Young's a bust. The narrative is, the Panthers are going to be trash again. The Panthers are a team that gosh, dang it, dude. I don't think this is a team that we actually got to close our eyes and be like, this organization has always been dog water. I know that there's been bad seasons, but I don't know, man. Ever since the early 2010, of course, when Cam came into the building, the past 14 years, there has been success in the Carolina Panthers facility. So I don't like that the Panthers are getting this, once upon a time, this was the Cleveland Browns. That was just a joke of the league. Once upon a time, this was the Detroit Lions, a joke of the league. I don't think you guys are where near that narrative. And I want to just really start things out by saying, if you guys have not seen episode 1 of the Panthers blueprint, it's like this little Hard Knocks thing that your media team is doing. I am not a Panthers fan at all. But man, what do I get from that? You get a good, legitimate representation of Dan Morgan, right? So a former linebacker that you guys drafted, I think in 2001, who did a lot of phenomenal things on the field for the organization. He leaves, goes to a couple teams, retires, and then comes back into the building as a guy that knows everything about the keep pounding culture. He knows everything about the good and bad seasons. And him being a former player is going to be able to really be able to digest talent. And so him being the new president, new GM, I think that's bode well. But I cannot even, I'll say it like this. This is the best way for me to say it. If, I'm a Bengals fan, if anything happened to Zach Taylor, how up in the air legitimately happy I would be if Joe Burrow had Dave Canales as his head coach. This offensive genius, he literally has a reputation of resurrecting careers and getting quarterbacks paid. And we've talked about this multiple times, but I want to give a picture to it. There's a better way of describing how great Dave Canales is, and that's by using stats, numbers. And the best way to talk about numbers is to talk about stats and money. So in 2021, right, Geno Smith gets to Seattle. That's his year where he splits time with Russell Wilson. He gets the job at the back end of the season. But then, hey, Dave Canales and Geno Smith work really hard. They click, they acclimate to each other, and things pop off in a great way where Geno Smith has a completion rate of 69.8, which is the best he has had in a full season. Passing yards at 4,282, touchdowns at 30, and then a quarterback rating of 100.9. And then Dave Canales, he leaves and goes to Tampa Bay. And what happens? Geno Smith has a down year. The completion percentage goes back down to 64.7. The passing yards gets halved by almost 600. He has 10 less touchdowns, and his quarterback rating is at a 92.1. But the beautiful thing about how Dave Canales left the building is that Geno Smith signed a 3-year, $75 million contract, including $40 million guaranteed, making him a $25 million per quarterback. And so once Dave Canales leaves the building of the Seattle Seahawks, he heads to Tampa Bay. Who's his quarterback? Mr. Baker Reagan Mayfield. Baker Reagan Mayfield, he's been all over the place these past few seasons. He actually had a stint with you guys, and I'm just going to keep it G. He probably could have, should have, might have potentially kept him around a little bit longer. Go, of course, get rid of that crappy coach. I can't remember his name right now. Look at his years that he had in Cleveland. Those are the years that we really have to take into full account. Some of them are great. Most of them are. But look at what he did in Tampa. Completion rating, 64.3. 4,044 yards passing, his highest in his whole career. 28 touchdowns, his highest in his whole career, and 10 interceptions. And the quarterback rating at a 94.6. But wait, there's more. Once Dave Canales once again left the building, leaves Baker Reagan Mayfield, Baker signs a 3-year contract worth $115 million. Both of these teams that Dave Canales was also in charge of, offensively, they made the playoffs. So my whole thing is this and this only. The defense that the Carolina Panthers have, with Derek Brown literally holding up his mantra, his draft mantra of being a disruptive interior player and him being the face of that defense, how is this not going to work for Bryce Young? Please. And I just get so frustrated. And I have a colleague, actually, I'll just say it. His name's Luke. And he's listening to this right now. And he thinks Bryce Young is a bust. He thinks Bryce Young is going to be out of the league in a few. He doesn't think Bryce Young's that good. And I'm over here as his, partner. And I'm like, dude, come on. You see what he did for Adam Thielen? What did he do for Adam Thielen? He made Adam Thielen, who was a wide receiver that was, I feel like, on his way out of the league, possibly, maybe. He gave that guy 1,000 yards receiving and over 100 receptions. That is just something that honestly blows my mind every time I think about it. Seriously, it blows my mind every single time I think about it. And then you add in Diontae Johnson, who I am a Bengals guy. I was so petrified of him as a Bengals fan. He always made spectacular catches. He has get away from the cop speed. That's a crazy quote. He has so many things in his package to where it's like, pause. How does he fare with Bryce Young if Bryce Young can give I'm sorry to say this, an elderly old man the production that he gave him? Understanding with Adam Thielen, his inability to separate, his lack of speed, his lack of, legit, elite athleticism all dwindling away, and you get the ball 100 times and then go over 1,000 yards, that means that Mr. Bryce Young has to pinpoint perfectly, put the ball in a certain spot, certain window. The timing has to be perfect. And I just love where this team is at right now. I would also say that there is just a big push to fix Bryce Young up. He wasn't perfect last year, of course. And that's something that I kind of need to, step back on. That supposedly he had not the greatest of feet. But you're not going to have the greatest of feet when you don't have the greatest of offensive linemen. And you needing to stay in the pocket and take certain shots that you shouldn't be taking. I just think the things that have been fixed with this offensive line, I hope they all come out next year and understand that they have a guy at the quarterback position that can get the job done. Jonathan Brooks, the bigger back, I hope he is the starter. I hope there's no Miles Sanders. Hey, he makes this much money. We can't sit him. He had a bad year. It looks like he has his mind right to have a better year this year. That's fine. That's dandy. That's awesome. But Jonathan Brooks better be the bell cow running back for that team, because you need a big back for a small quarterback. That's just what it is. I'm sorry, I didn't write the rule book, but that's the consistencies. And then once again, I'm not gonna be big on Xavier Legette being the guy, that changes the organization for the Carolina Panthers. And also, I just don't love that he's hurt right now, but everything just seems to be precaution. Diontae Johnson being the number one receiver for Bryce Young, I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna try to get him in our sleeper league. I'm trying to figure things out if I can get him in my sleeper league, maybe give up a second or third round pick in our dynasty league. I gotta get him. I love the potential of what could happen there, and I like that Dave Canales is already speaking in a way that's going to best help this team and best help Bryce Young. Once again, I encourage all of you to watch that episode. You fall in love with the guy. I feel like it's just a dude that you definitely want to be in charge of your organization. And he's just all ball. He's an A-type personality. He might be on the spectrum. He's just all football. And I know that's going to mesh really well with Dan Morgan, who is another A-type personality, alpha, all about ball. And I think that just beautifully blends into the culture. And another great thing is this is just a side note to everything we've talked about. JC Horn is there at practice. And that's just a good thing to have one of your better defensive players who has injury concerns. Of course, we know this, but he's at these OTAs. And I just love that for what you guys got going on in your building. It seems like everyone's believing in him, but I just want to know, do Do you believe in him? Do you believe in your team? Do you believe in Bryce? Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe.